wrists caged in metal. A chain pinned his arms to his core, legs tethered low, every step a scrape. 3 hours straight, sealed inside an armored van. 2 pairs of eyes barely left his side. 150 miles behind him, one final turn, off a tree-lined stretch and through the gates of Southern Ohio Correctional. It was just after 10 a.m. on April 25, 2002, when Alton Coleman arrived at the Lucasville death house. Hauled down from Mansfield's death row, now face-to-face with the end Ohio had planned for years. Once inside, he was logged, formally identified, and escorted to the holding cell, a short walk from the chamber. When the door clanged shut, the 24-hour death watch officially began. Whatever privacy was left, gone. 3-man teams in constant rotation. No distance, no silence, every move tracked. Within minutes, the prison medic stepped in. A hands-on check, routine but required. Arms examined, chart reviewed. All part of state protocol to ensure there'd be no trouble finding a vein. Quick, unremarkable, no complications logged. His demeanor, cooperative and composed. In the 2 weeks leading up to his final 24 hours, 6 petitions had been filed, all denied. And on that early afternoon, number 7 fell too. The Ohio Supreme Court closed the final door, with Governor Bob Taft refusing to intervene. All legal options were officially gone. That last petition challenged a historic first, because this execution came with a twist, something Ohio had never done before. The state planned to broadcast the event live, not to the public, only on closed-circuit monitors in a private room inside the prison. Set up for one reason: crowd overflow. Demand outpaced space. They had to improvise. His lawyers jumped on it, calling it a spectator sport, a civil rights violation. They argued Ohio law banned recording equipment, that only 3 victim witnesses were allowed by law. The court wasn't moved. They ruled the law didn't set hard limits. The state had the right to adapt. The show would go on. Per Ohio protocol, visiting hours began at 3. As pre-approved, Coleman's attorneys and spiritual advisors entered the block. Just presence and quiet support. Nothing left to fight for. His fate was irreversible. Coleman's demeanor stayed the same: quiet, calm, and composed. Even with full certainty that he, the only person ever sentenced to death in 3 different states, was now hours away from the end. The judge who sentenced him didn't hesitate. If anyone is Exhibit 1 for the death penalty, it's Alton Coleman. And those words were earned. In just 53 days, he carved a path through 6 Midwestern states, from ending 8 lives to petty robberies and every imaginable nightmare in between.
The FBI, in an unusual move today, expanded its list of 10 most wanted fugitives into a special edition list of 11.
He made the FBI's 10 most wanted in record speed, and within 9 days of being listed, he was caught. At his side, Deborah Brown, his partner through the entire spree. Loyal, mentally impaired, and just as vicious. As for why, even Coleman didn't know. "I cannot attribute any motive for my actions other than money for my drug habit," he said. His attorneys had a different theory. They blamed his brain. A damaged container, they called it. Broken before he had a chance. Born to an addict, exposed in the womb, and later dumped before he could crawl. Found in a dumpster, wrapped in a trash bag. But still, the courts didn't flinch. Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio fought to take him down. In the end, Ohio got the grim honor, not by chance, but by choice, offering what prosecutors called the swiftest path to the chamber. Right on time, the next step in the ritual began: dinner. One of the last requests he was allowed to make, known in Ohio as the special meal, and his? It earned the title. The largest ever at Lucasville. Filet mignon, well done with sautéed mushrooms, fried chicken breasts, salad with French dressing, collard greens, onion rings, buttered cornbread, French fries, broccoli with cheese, biscuits with brown gravy, sweet potato pie with whipped cream, butter pecan ice cream, and a cherry Coke. Of course, he didn't finish it. Who could? By all accounts, he just picked at it, nibbling here and there as the night crept toward the end. As visiting hours ended, the final guest stepped out. Coleman sat back down and wrote a final letter. Not quite an apology, not exactly a confession, but something close. A complex, perhaps indirect, acknowledgement of his culpability, prison director Wilkinson would later say, admitting what he'd done in his own convoluted way. The rest of the night was quiet, religious videos on low volume. Later, he spoke with one of his sisters. 22 minutes on the phone, emotional, not much said. The week before, they'd all come to Mansfield. Jean, Terry, and Donnie, 4 siblings, face-to-face for 7 hours. Their first visit in years, and also the last. None of them returned. Travel issues, the prison said. They couldn't get a ride. Coleman wasn't surprised, just disappointed. Sometime between 4 and 5 a.m., Coleman finally dozed off, an hour at most. Guards said he didn't look scared, just restless. He'd been awake most of the night, watching religious programs, flipping through his Bible, and praying for hours. A plain, non-denominational prayer shawl sat on his shoulders, a gift from a church, something to hold on to. Days earlier, he'd been baptized behind bars. Baptist by choice. He'd found religion in prison and clung to it now. Still full from his massive special meal, Coleman had just declined breakfast when the medical tech arrived. Another health check, the final one. Right on cue, exactly 2 hours before the deadline. The exam was quick and closely watched. Coleman's attorneys and chaplain stood nearby, both present since visitation began earlier that morning. Across the hall, the sound of quiet movement, the chamber coming to life. The warden and his team were running their final checks. Sound system tested, IV lines flushed, injection system calibrated, protocol reviewed line by line. Coleman was cleared. The chamber was ready. All that remained was time. Cutoff time, 8:45 sharp. No more calls, no more visits. Coleman thanked his attorneys, said goodbye, and watched them go. Not long after, he stepped into the shower. While outside, the atmosphere shifted. Law enforcement tightened security as the crowd thickened. Victims' families arrived early, preparing to witness what came next. Just a small group of protesters stood in silent vigil. Candles lit, signs raised. Their message was clear. God is the ultimate judge. It's not our decision. Just minutes before the 10 o'clock deadline, the phone rang in the prison director's office. On the line, Chief Justice of the Ohio Supreme Court. A final check, routine but critical. According to a court spokesperson, the Chief Justice wanted absolute clarification on the location of the auxiliary witness room. The setup was allowed, but per state law only under strict conditions. It had to be private, no public broadcast, no recording equipment allowed, and the total number of victim family witnesses could not exceed 15. Once satisfied, the call ended. And with it came the final word. Governor Bob Taft would not intervene. Expected, but now official. The execution was cleared to proceed. Per Ohio protocol, a prison medic initiated the process, administering a 2-part sedative. The first to calm, the second to slow the heart, preparing the body for what came next. The witnesses were in place, split between 2 locations. Inside the death house, 12 observers, including 3 handpicked by Coleman. 15 more in a gray brick building behind it, watching in silence as 2 25-inch monitors flickered on. At 7 minutes past the hour, Alton Coleman entered the execution chamber, 17 steps from his holding cell. He walked on his own, calm, cooperative, no struggle, no restraints. His prayer shawl draped over his shoulders. Without hesitation, he lay back on the gurney, stretched out his arms, and let the strapped-down team go to work. He glanced through the glass. Twice. No emotion. The warden stepped forward and asked for final words. Coleman had something ready, but nothing personal. He began to recite the 23rd Psalm. No apology, no farewell. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leadeth me to green pastures. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And while he spoke, the execution proceeded. Among the witnesses, one of Coleman's spiritual advisors was heard whispering, "Thank you, Jesus. Lord, take your son. No more pain. You are free." Coleman continued praying, but within moments the sedative took hold. His voice slowed, then faded mid-psalm. He took 8 deep breaths, each one slower and shallower than the last. Then, nothing. At 10:13 a.m., Alton Coleman was pronounced dead. In the auxiliary room, a close-up shot of a brown curtain signaled the end. The curtain fell on a monster. Where do you stand on capital punishment? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more stories like this every week.